G'day, it's Robbie again. Well, a little while back I did a video on machining rebar on a metal lathe. Can you machine rebar on a metal lathe? Well, of course you can, because it's just another piece of steel. It's not really meant for being high-grade machinable steel, but you can make stuff out of it, and it's actually good for certain things. It's tough, hard stuff, and it won't bend easy. So yeah, it's got some uses if you think about it. Anyway, I had a lot of interest on that video. I was quite surprised. But then again, there's not a lot of stuff on rebar on YouTube or even on the internet. And rebar is one of those things you can really not make it. Well, people make artistic work out of it and they do all sorts of stuff with it, but you've got to use your imagination. And it's really designed, and its main use, of course, is for building, reinforcing concrete and building skyscrapers and stuff. So, as it's a wet day and I've got nothing better to do, I can't work outside, I thought to myself, well, surely there's something else we can do with rebar, and I got the old thinking cap on, and well, all sorts of possibilities came to light, and I'll show you one of them. Right, well, down here in the Shawblin, under the Shawblin lathe stand, there's my collop tray, and it's got a shelf, and as you can see I've got a little chip scraper here that I made up years ago. That's for scraping the cuttings off of the top of the lathe with, and it's nice spiral twist knurling on it. It's a work of art, and it's good, it works great. And here's a little breaker bar that I just roughly knurled. It's done a heap of work, it's all beat up and that, but I use that for on Allen keys, you know, when I want to break hex, Allen headed bolts, you know, the keys aren't long enough, I put my little breaker bar on there. And once again, I use the knurl, and knurls are great, you know, they're a great thing, and they're well worth buying, but of course not everybody's got a knurl, and you know, to do stuff like that we're going to have a knurl. But if you haven't got a knurl and you want to have a pattern on your grip, well, think about it. Rebar, let's give it a go. Alright, well, here's a bit of rebar, freshly cut, rusty old stuff, and I mean that's the right sort of size for a grip, and I mean, you know, it's not going to sort of be high class chip hook, but if you want to impress your mates, or maybe you're a redneck, what better than a rebar chip hook for your lathe, eh? So, alright, just for a bit of fun, I'll knock one up with a hook on it. I've got a little shovel one that I just showed you, scraper type, but this will be a hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the rust off of it. I'm going to cut a length off. I'm going to centre bore the guts out of it as much as possible to lighten it, make it nice and light. I'm going to machine a taper in on the end, and I'm going to drill it and tap it to take a piece of, say, I don't know, 4 or 5 mil rod with I can screw in the end with a bit of Loctite, and we'll just put a 90-degree bend in the bit of rod, and she make a good little chip hook. Yeah, it's the sort of thing that, you know, well, you know, high tech, real high tech. Okay, we'll give it a go. With this job, you can use a 3-jaw, I suppose, to grip it. It will actually grip either side of those flats, but it's not really ideal because rebar is egg-shaped, oval-shaped, rather than round. So you're much better off using a 4-jaw, which I will use. And that way you can centre on those 2 flats on one side anyway, and then the other side you can just sort of pull it in. They should be able to get it pretty right, and then we can just drill the end out of it, drill through it, and make it light. So I'll swap over the chucks and we'll mount her up and we'll do a bit of drilling. So we've got our bit of rebar in the forejaw, and I've centred it using the centre to just do it visually, and I've also got the test indicator that I'm just checking against the flats with, and once again you do it visually and also watch it so it just touches it, so it's pretty easy to set these things up, and so we're good to go. And now I'll face the end off, and then we'll decide how long we want the handle to be, and we'll drill in that length. We want to drill as much of the centre out as possible to lighten it, and once we've done that, well then we'll do the taper. At this point we're going to just put a centre drill into the end of the rebar. I've turned the lathe speed right back to 125, and when you go in, the stuff's tough. When you go in with the centre drill, take it easy, otherwise you could snap the tip off on this stuff. It's very tough going, so just go in enough to get a depression so you can centre your main big drill. Take it very easy. And make sure you wear goggles at all times when you do this sort of work. High speed steel can let go with a bang and bits can fly everywhere. Take it very gently. Some of these cheap imported Chinese centre drills are not very good. If you ever buy centre drills, make sure you get good quality, otherwise they can just snap the tip off and then you've got to face back the job again. That'll do us, that's enough. Now we'll get a range of drills and we'll drill out the centre to the depth we want. I'll do a bit of measuring and I'll work out what we want, and we'll do some drilling. We're going to drill in 80 mil. So we're going to lighten the end of the handle by taking out 80 mil, and we'll drill it out progressively until we got enough wall thickness that it'll do the job. Get as thin as you can, as light as you can make it, and that'll do a good job. Now, once again, keep your speed right down on this. Do not, under any circumstances, use lube or coolant on this unless you've got a floods cooling system. Otherwise, this job's going to get hot, and if you squirt in coolant as you go along, you're almost going to certainly work hard in the job, and you will never drill the damn thing. So make sure you do it dry and slow. Okay. Just take your time on this. It'll take a while. You can see I'm using a collet system to hold the drill. It's far superior to using a drill chuck. You can put a lot more load on them, and the drill won't spin in the chuck like it can with a 3-jaw. Definitely a much better system for hard going like this. The further you get in, the more the flutes will clog up, so make sure you back out every so often and clean them off. I just use an old toothbrush. We're up the ante now, go to the next size. Just keep opening it out until you get to the wall thickness that you want. I'd like to have it as thin as possible, that way it's not going to be heavy. Right, now we put the lathe speed back to 400 odd, about 460, and we're going to machine just a bit of a relief on the end here to clean it up a bit. Close it up a bit. So we've drilled in 80, so we'll measure in 85 and we'll just mark it with the cutter. Now we're going to do a taper. So we're going to set the top slide to whatever angle you want to have your taper at, and we'll do some machining. Right, well you can see where I cut the taper. I actually moved back a bit. I originally started there, but I came back a little bit just to get the length I wanted. So I'll be gripping it like that. And I'm using a round nose cutter just to take the sharp edge off there, and I'll come back and I'll do this bit at the back. And of course your round nose cutter is good for finishing, and you can give it a polish with a bit of emery tape if you want to. And then once we've done this, we'll just part it off, and then we'll go to get on with it. And finish off with the hacksaw, the last bit. Now we just turn the bit of rebar around in the chuck, re-center it, just use a test indicator to get it near enough. I mean, that's not too bad. Good enough for this sort of work. And then once we've got it centered, we'll just drill it and tap it for a bit of rod to go in for your hook, and the job's almost done. Just centre it first before we start drilling. So we've got a point to work on. Now I'm going to drill this to take a 6mm metric bolt, metric thread. I've knocked the speed of the lathe back again because we don't want to go too fast. This is tough and it could snap your little drill. So 125 for this. Just take it easy. I've never tried to thread this stuff, so I'll see what happens, but we'll get the hole drilled first. Just don't rush it. Alright, we'll do the thread now. So basically this is the way I do it. I just push it in, screw in the tail stop until it catches, and then you just turn it by hand and feed it in to start it.
I'll have to put a shifter on it. You don't have to go very hard, but it won't hurt you. The chuck, just do it slowly, just feed it in. Once it catches, you can release the tailstock lever, just keep turning, and it will pull the tailstock into the job on the thread. Just take it easy. There's not much pressure on these chuck jaws at all. We're just going very lightly, but it's enough to do the job. I like to just do it by hand. I don't like to drive it in because you could easily snap your tap if they're a bit tight. Right, we've threaded in enough, so we'll just reverse out now. I tapped it in by hand, but I just used the motor to reverse out. That's enough thread. There's a good depth in there. So now we just, you might want to just polish that up a little bit maybe. We'll put a bit of emery tape on there. Bit of Loctite. 262. That's good stuff. It'll never come off. Pretty nifty. Well, there you have it. High class cousin, low class redneck cousin. Well, it was a bit of fun, and it's a bit of a talking piece, I suppose, and it wasn't hard to make. You can make it as big as you want. But depends how big your hands are, I suppose. Certainly, that was a bit more polished looking job, but it was a bit of fun, and if you want to, you know, have something nobody else has got, well, make up something like that. And yeah, good enough to get in and drag out the nasties from under the chuck and that when they all bunch up. So now I've got the best of both worlds. And yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll do something else with a bit of rebar. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed that. Got something out of it. Fun thing. See you next time. Cheers.